Okay, I think I'm centered. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. And today, obviously, as you can see, I'm in a different location. I'm not in my apartment. I'm on campus. I am in the trees. I'm one with nature. But that's good because today is the day that I finally make a video that I've wanted to make for a very, very long time. And that video is talking about or reflecting on my path going back to school as a UC Berkeley dropout. The story begins where a lot of stories begin. So yes, the whole thing started March 2020. COVID started. I had to move home back to Texas. And I was a junior. It was the second semester of my junior year at the time. And things were meh. I was still in touch with people. There was still hope of returning before I graduated. And life just kept going, right? I would go to classes. I would be part of campus organizations, dance, etc., and things were all right. Towards the end of the semester, though, I started drifting away from friend groups, from my orgs, and school in general. I was extremely demotivated, just like so many other people. But due to my major being film and design, it just felt that the collaborative process that I was finding recently after switching from biology to the humanities, all that collaboration, all the people I was meeting and working on projects and just making art, that was gone. That was stripped away from me and stripped away from my peers. And props to them for pushing on and going through. They're fucking amazing. I see all their work that they're doing in their jobs now, and I'm so proud of them. But anyways, summer happened, and summer for me is always weird because I always go home and it's just so easy to kind of laze away and just be in your bubble in Texas and just staying at home. And yeah, it just exacerbated how hard it was to reach out to people, or the complex system of having to set a certain time for people to meet together online on Zoom. But during the summer, I was in Colorado as my dad had just started his new station in the Air Force Academy teaching chemistry. So I helped him move there because my mom wanted to stay in San Antonio in Texas because my siblings were finishing high school there, and she didn't want to have another big change that would affect their education. I started a remote internship, which at first was interesting, but in the end was pretty boring, and I was very, very distant from it. We would watch random movies on Amazon Prime, Hulu, and other subscription services, and then rate them on a system that they would create. So they'd send us a Google Doc, a Google form, and we would rate, for example, the genre of it from 1 to 10, etc., and codify the movie into categories that they could put into their startup code system. And their goal was to make recommendations easier on Netflix. And it's an interesting concept, but at that time, I just really wasn't interested in anything. I think that's a great way to put it. I was losing interest in literally everything. And sometimes it's kind of hard to remember because it was a blur. The time passed so quickly, but also so slowly, and it's just really hard to try to reminisce and go back in my mind because my mind wants to block it off from myself and not acknowledge that this happened. Then the first semester of senior year, everything was kind of normal as well, but still the effects of just not being in person, being so far away, and just the rotting environment of having to stay at home, but also just Texas in general, was getting to me. And the process kept continuing. I kept getting further and further away from the people that I knew the most and what encouraged me or motivated me to go to school every day, to go dance every day, etc., etc. And I wasn't in a great spot because in my head, it was my fault that I was getting distant from these people because I was the one who was in the other situation. I was the one who had to move away. It's not them, right? It was me that if I felt that there's an issue or something, or if I wanted to reach out, I should have reached out, right? But something in me was blocking me, that guilt of it was my fault. And it came to a point where people would reach out to me, people that I would have talked so much to in person or a year ago, right? And I just couldn't respond to them. I would get phone calls, I would get texts, and I just couldn't respond to them based off that guilt or anxiety that it was my fault. And I don't know, there was just an invisible barrier, and it's sometimes really hard to describe what that actually was, but I think it was some sort of guilt that was stopping me from answering. And I know now that it's so simple to just respond and to reconnect, but then there was just a barrier in my mind. I just couldn't. So yeah, things started spiraling, man. During the fall semester of senior year, I started streaming on Twitch and making TikToks. And that was a fun experience. It was an interesting experience that I know a lot of people have done during COVID, started streaming and stuff like that. I started streaming Genshin, making Genshin TikToks, and that was fun, meeting a lot of people from around the world, a lot of people with different backgrounds, and that kind of distracted me from what school and the aura around school was, and my anxiety of contacting people that I used to know but I haven't seen. For some reason, streaming was my escapism, and making TikToks about Genshin was my escapism from my real world problem of education and losing my path in education in terms of I switched to my major of film and design because I love this. I see myself doing this for years and years. I see that for myself, and not in research or medicine or med school. But I lost that. I lost sight of the path. And I thought that maybe I should just grow this stream and distract myself from what was happening in real life. And yeah, eventually I got tired of streaming too. I mean, being in the spotlight wasn't for me anyways, but I started hating Genshin. It's a gambling game. Funny to talk about gambling right now. There's a massive scandal on Twitch about gambling, but whatever. Yeah, so I fell off streaming too, and this was the beginning of my second semester of senior year. And the kind of interesting natural disaster that culminated everything was there was a big freeze in Texas where the power grid lines were frozen and everything was shut off. Everything froze. And we didn't have power, or some people water, for around a week and a half or so. And I had emailed my GSIs, my professors, that, hey, I might not be able to attend class after this, or during this, because something's going to happen, and they warned us, etc., etc. And so after the freeze, I just stopped going to classes. I stopped attending classes. I just couldn't do it anymore. I was gaining weight, like a lot of weight, like 30, 40 pounds. I didn't think that I had any friends. Just stupid of me, I know. But I think I didn't like what I was learning, or I didn't appreciate what I was learning. I didn't feel like I was getting anything out of it. And I was just generally miserable and lost and lazy and all the vices in one. And so I just withdrew. I didn't really know what to do. But I withdrew. That was the impulse thing to do. And maybe actually it was probably the best thing to do at the time. I think I was just wasting my time. I was just being stupid. So there was me, fat, bum-ass Lorenzo, sitting at home in March of 2021 and doing nothing. I just turned 22. I was lost. I had no one really that I thought I could talk to. My parents, I'm sure they knew something was up, but they, Asian parents, they won't really confront you about that. They'll passively try to intervene, passively try to say what's up, and I just pretended that I was still going, I just pretended that everything was fine. I just pretended that I was still in school. I just pretended that I was still learning and I was going to graduate. But then the gig was up, right? I would literally just eat, sleep, go on YouTube, I don't know, play some games, repeat, eat, sleep, play video games, repeat. I was the failure in society. I was literally a bum. But thinking back, there was just no way out of the cycle in my head. I couldn't leave or go outside. I couldn't really go back to school at the time. I just drew, and I wasn't doing well in that anyways. I was just in this weird space in life. It was just unexplainable, that sinking feeling you feel that you just can't get out of the cycle. It was terrible. So spring 2021 passed, and my sister graduated from high school, and she actually got into Berkeley. And the summer of 2021, summer 2021, we as a family went back here to the Bay Area, to Berkeley, to help my sister move in for her first day. And actually saw it was a awakening and really powerful experience to see the place that I hadn't seen in basically a year and a half, or who knows, and to see time just moving on, just people that I didn't know. Actually, and it was a really moving experience seeing a bunch of people on campus. No. It was an extremely eye-opening experience helping my sister move in and seeing everybody going through and it was an extremely eye-opening experience seeing everyone on campus, things looking close to normal. And it hit me that I needed to get my shit together. I was there for 6 months, being a bum at home, being a worthless piece of shit, not contributing to society, not contributing to myself, not doing something that I know I could do and I wanted to do. I had lost the path, and coming back here made me realize that I needed to find that path again. And it was going to be a long, long road to find that path again. But I had to start, and seeing, like I said, everything on campus kind of kick-started that. So I got off of my ass around, I'd say, September, November. I got 2 part-time jobs around September, November. So when I got back home to Texas, I started to try to get off my ass. Around September, November, after I got vaccinated, I got 2 part-time jobs, one at a boba shop and the other at a movie theater. And my goal was just to have these 2 part-time jobs just to make some sort of money and use that time to figure out what I was going to do. Either go back to school, do this for the rest of my life, I don't know. But this was a start for something. And one, it helped me because I started to lose weight, obviously, because working these service jobs, these manual labor jobs, they just get me moving. And I finally returned to normal weight, which is great. That helped my mental so much. It helped me with my... It definitely helped me with my... It definitely helped my mental... This helped me so much in terms of my mental. It helped with my body image, which I've been combating since I was a little kid. So that was one positive. And 2, it just gave me something to do to make me feel that I was doing something, if that makes any sense. They were shitty jobs, and I made a video about the minimum wage jobs already, but they helped me, one, meet lots of new people from different backgrounds and get inspired by their stories, or just learn from them and learn that there's a lot of people who, because of COVID and because of different circumstances, have been affected in a similar way that I have been. And because of that, we're sort of in this purgatory in life of a crisis, a quarter-life crisis of not knowing what to do and just being lost in general. And there was a lot of people a little bit younger than me, a lot older than me, my age, they're just lost. And that really helped me knowing that I wasn't alone and that there was a place for my situation. So while I was doing that, I started looking into how to reapply to get back into school. And there was a sort of lengthy process for myself. I had to talk to a few advisors and get approval and then submit another form. And I finally decided that I wanted to go back to school in 2022 around January, February. Through work, I also met some awesome people, awesome artists, and I started to collaborate with them and do projects with them. And that really helped me find my passion again and remember the good times of when I was making stuff with other people, and reminded me why I wanted to do what I wanted to do in the first place. And then with the money that I had saved up and with restrictions getting looser and looser, I started to travel a bit more. So the first trip that I took was to New York. And that was a really great trip because I hadn't been to New York since I lived in the East Coast in DC since I was probably 12-ish, something like that. So it had been almost 10 years. 10 years, basically. And just getting back into a big city where things were bustling, everything was moving, it just inspired me to see that despite me being in a stagnant state of life for so long, everything around me was moving, and I needed to conform to that. That's kind of weird to say, and it kind of contradicts my whole persona, but I needed to, like I said before, pick myself up and go into that flow and move along. Basically, I needed to move on with my life, basically. I needed to stop being sorry for myself, and I just needed to start moving on. So that helped me see that. And then I started visiting museums again, especially in New York. And solo travel is great because it's so contemplative. You have so much time for yourself, so much spontaneity, and you can do whatever you want. So if I saw something that interested me, I could do that. I could go here, I could do this, and it doesn't matter what time. I wake up, I go to bed, I can dictate that for myself. And I can really be present and really absorb every experience that was being given to me. And I was lucky just to be there. So that was my first trip. Then I finally went to Canada. That's another... Oh, wait. So during this whole time, I had made it a goal of mine to try to start reaching out to people that I was extremely close to before. And this was probably the most difficult thing because, like I said, it was extremely hard to break that barrier in my mind that was causing me to stop talking to these people. And so I reached out to a few of them, and it just made me realize I was being stupid, and I should have just reached out to them sooner. And what reaching out to people taught me was that life is too short and too fleeting to have to reminisce and just feel sad about the past. If we were truly friends and truly made a connection, then it didn't really matter if whatever happened. All that matters is that we're talking to each other again and we can make good memories again. And also, that doesn't mean I have fully gotten over that mental block in my head. That's a pretty serious thing, but it was a good start in tackling it. And for the rest of it, I just feel that sometimes it's better to just move on and to accept that sometimes paths divert, and that's okay. And it's more mature to let go and just to be grateful of that time you had on the same path. And I'll always feel grateful to be part of their story, and I'm extremely, extremely proud and happy for them. Whenever I see people doing something awesome, starting a new job, going to med school, etc., I just feel really happy for them because I know that years ago, in the picture in my head of what I knew of them, this was their dream, and now they're fulfilling that, and that's just really awesome to see. It just really brings me up whenever I see that happen. So yeah, did a bunch of traveling, just rehabilitating myself in society and just regular day life, consuming, media arts and things of that nature, as LeBron likes to say a lot. And yeah, that just leads to the summer and leads to me coming back to school. So that was a really, really long intro, but in short, shit went down, dropped out of school, had to do some soul searching, came back stronger. I could have just said that would have been the intro. And I didn't have to divulge too much. But I think it's good for me to acknowledge what truly went down. So on to the topic of what it's like to be back in school. Well, it's amazing. It feels that I am being given a second chance that not a lot of people are privileged to have, and I'm extremely lucky to have the second chance to sort of relive a life that I sort of romanticize and wish I had before. And it's great because sure, I don't know anybody, and sure, things have changed in terms of the culture, in terms of practices here, but that's great. It just shows that everything's evolving and things have been moving on, and it's nice to see people learning again. It's great to be back in a classroom setting. It's great to see people doing after-school clubs, doing dance, and all of those stuff. It's great to see that the world is moving on, and I am being able to be a part of it. I feel so way more grateful now than before. I'm so engaged in my classes. I'm genuinely interested in every reading, every point, every lecture that my professor gives. And I just want to engage. I just want to make the most of the time that I have left here, because I know that this is extremely valuable and I won't get this chance ever again in my life. I'm super lucky to be in this point of life, to have a good support. I don't know. I'm just super lucky to be back here. That's all I gotta say. I also note that I am old. I turned 23 in March, but I realized that some of these people are like 17 and I'm a half decade older than them. So it puts me in this weird purgatory, this weird middle spot where that people that I meet who are younger than me, even if they're seniors, so like 2021 age, they have different perspectives of life or different goals in life. And now I see that 2021, they have different perspectives on how life is. And I don't blame them because I probably had that 2 years ago. But obviously things have changed. And people who are my age, who are older than me, they're off in their careers. They're off in higher education, doing other things like that. And they have a different perspective on how their life is. And I'm just in a weird spot in terms of the traditional age, or traditional position I should be in society at my age. But that's okay, because everyone has their own path. And I am doing my thing and living my life. But I hope this video is entertaining or a good listen to while you're folding laundry, taking a shit, I don't know, cooking dinner, or whatever. And maybe, just maybe, somebody might be inspired by this in terms of don't do the stupid shit that I have done, or something like that. I've been standing in the eucalyptus grove. I think this is what it's called. A lot of things have different names now here in Berkeley. Like there's a social sciences building, and that used to be Barrows. And there was I have a meeting there, and I had no idea that it was actually Barrows. I kept thinking the social sciences, where's that? So I ended up not going to those. Oh God. I hope you guys have a good one. Peace. 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 Peace.